All right, so I'm going to start. I've got a few tabs open. I've got Brightcove opened, and I've got just a CMS tab open. So if you're wanting to follow along and go through these on your end as I'm walking us through, go ahead and open up a Brightcove tab and a CMS tab. And today's session is really going to go through, once you have a video in Brightcove, we're going to be adding it into CMS. And Chris is very well versed on this, as is Michelle. So if you have any questions or get stuck along the way, feel free to reach out to one of the three of us, and we'll get your question answered. All right, so I'm on the home screen in Brightcove, so I'm going to go to Media, and this is going to show us the videos we have in Brightcove. So the first one should be about Mark Cassie talking about the turf course at Woodbine. Do you all see that?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to open that one up, and I have already added the title, the short description, long description. I've added my tags. So this is good to go. I'm ready to go to CMS. So I'm going to open my CMS tab, go to the dashboard, and then video content is under content, and then videos. And then we're going to click on the tab next to add video that says import from Brightcove. All right, so here is the video here. That's the one we want to select. So I'm just going to select that one. And you'll notice on some of these other ones, like Mark Cassie and Tis the Law, you can't click on them. And that's because they've already been added into Brightcove. Added into CMS. So then I'm going to scroll down. So I've got it checked. And then I scroll down and I click import. And then you're going to see the video is in the proofing queue. It's added here. So I'm going to click edit. And the title, the short summary, long summary, keywords, and hero image auto-populate from Brightcove because we added those in. So I really can't stress enough that if you do those on the back end and go ahead and add them in Brightcove, you're going to have less work into CMS, and that's really going to cut down on the steps you have to go through in CMS. All right, so the title is here. I like it, so I'm going to leave that as is. If you decide you want to change it, you can totally do that right here. And then my short summary is a little bit long. It's 89 out of 85 characters, so I need to trim that down. So I'm just going to take out the big, I'll just start with Boyd Browning. And then same thing with the long summary. I'm at 289 characters out of 250, so I've got to trim that down. I'm just going to cut that out. Claire did want me to point out that your short and long summaries, as well as your title, should follow BH style. So make sure that that's happening. She sent out the style guide, so if you have any questions on that, just reach out to her. So the title looks good, short summary looks good, as well as the long summary. So now I'm going to go down to the thumbnail. And Anne's the only one that was in today's morning session, but we had an update since then. And this is actually going to pull in a higher res file than what it used to do. It used to pull in a really small image, and you had to go through and replace it in CMS, but now you don't have to. So that's a few less steps that you have to do now. And scrolling down, you don't have to do anything with notes. Same with these highlight boxes, just leave those alone, nothing to do there. Your keywords, you want to make sure these accurately describe the video. So if you want to add more, definitely do that. Brightcove ID, the length, nothing to do here. The description, you'll definitely want to elaborate on. It pulls in a short line, so I'm actually going to take the long summary from Brightcove that we trimmed down and add that over here. And just replace that. The description shows up on the side of the video. So if we go to the home page, I click on more and video. The description shows up to the right of the video as people are watching it. So you really want to make sure you put some like detailed information here that is somewhat engaging for people when they're watching the video. You can throw a quote in. Just feel free to elaborate more than.
Is there a length of characters for that?
There's not.
Okay.
So if you didn't get a chance to say it up here in the short and the long summary, here is your chance. And then I'm going to go ahead and click save. And then you can see it's saved my updates. Now, if you didn't, like if your character limits were too long for the short summary or the long summary, it's going to show a red error message that's going to say you can't save it. So you'll want to make sure you trim those down. All right. Does anybody have any questions before we look at the right side elements? Okay. So content video, content category, just leave as is video. Content brand is likely where the development team is going to be working on some different spots for adding things to the BH Plus side. And I can't go through those with you all because I think they're still working out some of them from the development end. So there will be some additional steps in the channels and then over here to make sure you're adding content to the premium site. But Courtney and the team will follow up with details at a later time. Okay, so leaving this content source is in-house. If it was from an outside news company or something, this is where you could change it. This should look really familiar to articles in CMS if you're on the editorial team. If you want to add your byline, that's where you can do it. We're going to leave the publish at time. It's in 1970. Just leave that for now. We'll go back to it in a second. Leaving all this the same, and now I click save. So at this point, you've got the video almost ready to go, and this is where you would send an email to the review team. I think it's 4 people. JD sent out the list of those people. So you would email them and say, hey, the video is ready to review. One of them is going to look at the video, and then you'll get the all clear to post it. So say Anne said, woohoo, looks great. Now we're going to go into the second set of this, which is posting the video, adding it to channels, and adding it to sections. Does anybody have any questions before we do that? Okay, y'all are super quiet. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is add it to channels and sections. So first we'll look at sections. There's going to be a drop down over here that's likely something like BH Plus. So you would select that. We're going to use ABR Films as our example. And then if you need to set it as default, you would just check that box. We're going to click add. And then it shows it down here that this section has been added. So sections are different from channels for videos, and that is Let me just quickly go back to the video homepage. Sections show up over here on this left side, and it's just a separate section that you can filter through content. So these are all the I Am Horse Racing videos. These are all the Triple Crown videos. So it's a great spot on the video page to further break out those videos. All right, so I've got it added to the section. Now I'm going to go back to content, and I'm going to click on channels up here at the top. And then this is where you could add it to a BH Plus channel. I think there's going to be multiple channels for Blood Horse Plus, so you would add it to the applicable channels. And then for this one, just as an example, I'm going to add it to Thoroughbred Sales and just set it as normal. I don't need to add it to featured or primary, and then just double check the date. It's correct, so I'm going to click save. So we've added it to channels, we've added it to the sections, and now I am ready to post it. So I'm going to go back to content, videos. And I'm going to look it over one more time. Make sure everything looks good. I think it does. So I'm going to change my content status over here from proofing queue to posted. And then I'm going to change the published time to January 5th, 2021 at 3:15 p.m. And then I would click save. I'm not going to do that with this video because I don't actually want it out there. Like, it's just a test. So you would click save, and then you could check on the home page to make sure that it did post. So I'm going to click cancel for now because I don't need to do that.
So I'm sorry to chime in here. If you were to post something and then for whatever reason you decide you don't want it, is it easily removable?
Then you would go back to edit and put it back in the proofing queue.
Okay.
And click
And
save.
then what?
And then click save. Okay.
Aaron, I had a question on you about the channels and actually in the sections. Are
Okay.
they, do you have to have both, or can you just choose one or the other?
You have to have both, and that's because the Thoroughbreds the sales channel is different. So you can have articles in there, and whereas sections is just specific to videos. So you do need to have both.
Is there a reason to not automate the publish ad time like it is on stories?
Courtney that's in the new build of CMS. He's already worked that out. So it'll actually auto, the
Like the
date will
stories.
auto-populate to what time you brought it into Brightcove. So if there's like a significant delay, you'll want to adjust that.
Yeah, there's times you can always change it, but
Yeah.
if we put it at 19, well, he's on it.
Yep, he's already done it.
All right.
Hey, Aaron, I got a quick question.
Okay.
When you assign a video to a channel, let's say the sales channel, how does that render on the topic page? Does that show up as a story? Does that show up as like an image with a play button? How does that, what do you see when that actually gets published?
It would, so let me go to the homepage to show. If it was in one of these top slots, it's going to have the little play button over the icon. So you would know that it's a video.
Okay. All right.
Hey, Aaron, I got a question. Is there any way to assign priority on these to where one would appear above another?
So that you'll find, I'm editing our Thoroughbred Sales channel that we put it in. And here's over here beside priority under channel is where you would set a higher priority. So if you wanted it to be the top, you would you just change the priority to top.
So if everybody put them on normal, the last one in would appear above the previous video?
Yes, I think so.
That was a great deal of confidence in that response.
Because if you have everything as normal, then it's
Mhm.
probably by update.
But
by
By
your-
timestamp.
Mhm.
That would be useful to know. So on stories, the default is sort of high. Like everything pretty much goes as high unless it's something we don't hardly care about goes as normal. And then
Mhm.
something that's big goes as top. What on videos is high sort of the standard or is normal?
Well, so, okay, keep in mind, this is for Blood Horse Plus that we're talking about. So,
Yeah, whichever platform. We just
Right.
need to know what is the standard issue priority.
yeah,
Because otherwise it's going to put them too low or too high.
right. I would just go ahead and put them in as high for right now. And then those can be manipulated as needed by whoever is controlling the overall,
Sounds good.
however they want the site to be. Tim, does that make sense?
It does higher normal, whatever's consistent. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, it seems like if normal's the default, it's going to automatically assign them into the appropriate category. And then if, again, I'm thinking out loud, if everything was normal and then somebody said, oh, this video is getting a lot of traction, let's make it high so that it is first on the list. It would give us that flexibility, but I'm new to this. I don't know. That's just my first thought looking at it for first.
Just as long as everyone knows sort of what the usual
Standard
posting
is.
because if it's normal, it would probably be good to make it high because that's what people are used to on the
Yeah.
stories.
And that's fine.
Yeah, because and if they're all high, it'll just go in order of time. And Tim, if you end up doing it, you can go in and change the times if you want to change the order. That's usually the easiest way of doing it. Or if you really want something moved to the bottom, you make it normal or low.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and that's fine. Again, this is my first viewing of it, so I was just kind of shooting from the hip.
Okay. And the last thing is to go to assets, images. And you're going to see that this is the hero poster image, whatever you want to call it, that pulled in. So you just want to give this a title, something like Boyd Browning poster image. We just don't want to leave the images blank in CMS. So something like that, and with a credit as Blood Horse. And then I'm not going to assign this any keywords because we don't want these images used for anything else. It's just the default. So I'm going to click save, and then you're done.